In this next video clip, we are going to be looking at Matthew chapter 26 and verses 59 to 62. Reading from the Four Gospels, translated by E.V. Rue in the Penguin Classics series. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 59. Meanwhile, the chief priests and the whole council were casting about for evidence against Jesus on which, though false, they could condemn him to death. But they found none, though many false witnesses appeared. At last, two men came forward and said, "This man claimed that he could pull down the temple of God and in 3 days build it up again." The high priest rose and said to him, "You make no reply. What of the evidence that the men have given of you?" If we look at most people, we can probably, if we do enough digging, find something wrong in them. And let's be quite honest, if we do enough digging in most people, we can often find a lot that was not very good in them, especially if you get old enough like me. You see, most of us are inconsistent, and I'm here more or less talking about us as Christians. We might claim one thing while doing another. I don't know of any Christian like that, do you? The point is not that we are all a bunch of hypocrites. Oh no, we are not. The issue is that we are all fallen people who, in spite of attempts to the contrary, are sinful. In that way, we can sift any life and find something to lay charges against. Did you go 5 miles over the speed limit or 5 kilometers over the speed limit in the last couple of weeks? Did you, I don't know, fudge a little bit the last time you filed your income tax? Did you, we all understand that there are measures of inconsistencies and incongruities in our lives. And being a follower of Jesus, and I speak of myself, maybe you're not like that. I can find that within me. This is what the court was doing, that gathered to judge Jesus, was trying to sift through his life, figuring that if you did, there gotta be something there. Because for most people, there is something if you do enough sifting. This, in essence, was the approach of the court that day with Jesus, and it was not working. They were sifting through his life, and they were not finding anything to stick, anything real. The court from the beginning was not after the truth, and that is hugely important. Don't be naive and don't buy into those who want to say that in some way, shape, or form this was a court after the seeking after of truth. We talked about show trials in the previous reading, and show trials were never an exercise in truth finding. So the fact that they were not looking for truth obviously gives the court a measure of latitude. When a couple of people all of a sudden remember something that Jesus said. Now, we need to keep two things in mind here. One is that they were looking for something they could attribute to Jesus. It would seem that in order to make this work, they were looking for something that other people had heard. It would make their case stronger if they could quote something that other people had heard Jesus say. The sense I get is that the judges needed something for which people would go, that sounds like something that Jesus has said. And maybe I haven't heard it, but I've heard my friend say that Jesus said this. They also, secondly, needed something that they could use out of context, that they could twist, distort, and manipulate. Now, unless you've been living life under a rock, if you are in a democratic country and have been through a few election cycles, you understand how in politics this game works. You take a video clip in the modern era of your political foe, and if you just trim it nice and splice it and edit it and repackage it, you can make your opponent sound like a complete and total idiot who endorses some of the worst of worst behaviors, because you can take a statement that they said either out of context or, you know, there's just a myriad of ways you can make it work to your advantage. If you can use people's words against them, you can destroy them. This is what they wanted to do with Jesus. It is therefore not so much what Jesus said as much as how they wanted it to be understood, and in particular, how they were understanding it. In fact, if they had taken the words as Jesus used them, they would have dismissed him as an eccentric. To speak of the fact that he would raise in 3 days would be considered in normal cases being eccentric. Jesus was not talking of the physical temple. He was making an allusion to his future resurrection. The irony in this is that they were not prepared to believe what the original intent of his words were, that you destroy this and I will rise in 3 days. And yet they had to come to a point where they believed in these words in order to twist and use them against him. You see, they found it very convenient to use this phrase as a means to indict him. In modern terminology, they indicted him as a terrorist. To be a person of faith and committed to the faith is to be misconstrued, and worse. You are not going to walk the walk of faith and not have people accuse you of ulterior motives. If you say, I'm going to take this faith journey seriously, people can respond, oh, he thinks he is, or she thinks she is better than others. And note here, I'm not just talking about out in the world. I am saying at times in the church. Remember, Jesus was not judged first by the Romans. He was judged first by his compatriots, his fellow Jews, the leaders of the Jewish people. And then he was given over to Rome after everything, as it were, was signed, sealed, and now delivered. You will be misconstrued in the life of the church. You will be misconstrued out in the world. Take, for example, an office Christmas party as an example, maybe. And there's a group of people gathering together and they start talking, and eventually that talking degenerates into gossip. And you just know it's not very edifying, not very good stuff, and you decide to walk away. And they go, oh, she's just holier than us. She's going off into the corner to pray for us, or some sort of snide remark designed to say that you are just, we understand how people do these type of things. The particulars are not important, but the point is the same. Your actions and your words can and will be used against you when you seek to be serious about the faith. Not everyone in the church, and definitely not out in the world, are people open and supportive of your faith commitment. If Jesus went through this, so will you.